Hello guys, we are back again. Yeah, hello guys. Sorry. There was a little problem with my internet. Please, if you are online, let me know that you are online. Just send me a hello message, and then we can go ahead and do it very quickly. Okay. All right. Are you online? Just say hello and then let's go on. Sorry. There was a little problem with my internet. So let's go on. All right. Just say hello, and then make sure you share the link to your WhatsApp groups and then your Facebook. Okay. All right. Please share. Then let's go on very quickly. Let's do it very fast. And then you can go on. Please make sure you share very quickly. Make sure you share very quickly. All right. Are you online? Okay. All right. Let me share to my Facebook wall. Yeah, please come online and let's do it very quickly. Okay. All right. My name is KWAKWA Jr. I am an artist and I'm a great man, for all you know. Who is online? Please let me know. Just say hello and then let's go on. Just say hi. Let me look at. Let me see your name, and then we can go on. All right. Sorry for the delay for the other video. I had to end it because the network was very bad. So please come online. All right. Okay. Unfortunately, nobody is online, so I think I will still have to go on, and those who are interested will come over. As I was saying, form is very important when it comes to portraiture. A lot of people are always in a hurry to do the details, but for me, the detailing is like the icing on the cake. If you don't get your form right, during the details will be affected because right. So the most important thing is to get your form. Yeah, Mikey, welcome back. Sorry, yeah, I had to go off. The internet was very rough, so I had to go off. Sorry for that. Yeah, so we are discussing form today. Form is very important. And then, can you see, I just did a little research and I have this on. What is form, you may ask? Somebody has written, he said, in relation to art, the term form has two meanings. It can refer to the overall form taken by the work, its physical appearance or nature, or within a work of art. It can refer to the element of shape among the various elements that make up a work. Do you understand what I just read? I believe you can see it on your screen. It says, let me zoom in a little. It says, in relation to art, the term form has two meanings. It can refer to the overall form taken by the work. Okay. Its physical nature, or within a work of art. It can refer to the element of shape among the various elements that make up a work. So if you look at the picture here, you see this picture is an abstract thing. It's an abstract sculpture, but it has a form. You are able to tell that this particular object has depth in it, right? So that's what we call form. When we say form, I've at least described it here. So we now know what form means. Form is one of the elements of art. So without form, you can't have a solid thing. Franklin pencil art, welcome back. Right. So actually, form is trying to bring solidity in a drawing, because when we draw, we are only drawing on a paper, which is 2D. This is one of the works I was doing today. So we are only drawing on a paper, which is 2D. So if we don't, there are certain things you need to do to be able to make what you want to draw look solid on that paper. And that is what we are going to discuss now. So mind you, when it comes to portraiture or art, form is the most important thing. Form is getting the shape right, trying to add flesh to a 2D drawing. Okay, so this is form. If you look at the picture here, you will realize that this side is just in pencil. This side is just in pencil outline. So this side doesn't have form. Until we shade to bring form into it, it will remain an outline. But if you look at this side where I've shaded, you can see that side has form. I'm trying to build the flesh on the paper, bringing it alive from the paper. And it's having form here because I'm shading. I don't know if you get me right. Where there is only outlines, there is no form. This side, when I started shading, I started to build the flesh on the paper, bringing form into the 2D drawing. Do you get me? All right. So this is what we call, or we term, form. Right. And then the question again, how do you achieve form? How do you achieve form? Because when you are drawing, your paper is a 2D or is a flat surface. But what you'll be drawing should look solid. It should look alive on the paper. So how do you achieve form when it comes to drawing or portraiture? Mind you, everything I'll be saying is a general term in art. But because we are doing portraiture, I'll be referring to the art of portraiture a lot. So please bear me. So the question is, how do you achieve form? How do you achieve form? Okay. Before form is achieved on a drawing, there's one particular thing that you, the artist, you should pay attention to, and that is lighting. So lighting is very, very important. When there is no light, there is no color. Where there is no light, there is no form. So it's up to you, the artist, to understand what is going on in a picture, then try to emulate or depict or translate what you know here onto the paper. Do you get me? Please just type yes if you understand what I mean. Please just type yes if you understand what I mean. Please type yes if you understand what I mean. Can you hear me? If you can hear me and if you understand what I mean, just type yes so that I move on. Hello, are you online? Please type yes and then I'll move on. Alright. So one important or one function of form is form. Okay, that's great, Michael. Alright. Form helps one to bring identity. Okay, form brings about identity in a drawing. So if I should show you this is a phone, but the way it's being formed, the way it's been created or modeled, you're able to tell that this is a phone. Okay, this is a bottle. So this bottle has its own form from the way it was modeled or created. So if you look at it, this side is smaller, this side is bigger, and it's straight. So this is a form. So one, even if my eyes are closed and I hold this thing, I'll be able to tell that no, this is a bottle. From the texture and from the way it has been shaped. Do you get me? So form is very, very important. It helps one to identify what an object is. That is form. So when it comes to portraiture, just like how this has been able to be identified through its form, and the phone has been able to is been identified through its form, the same thing happens or applies to portraiture. When it comes to portraiture, the nose comes in, your mouth comes in, your head comes in. So everything related to your face, everything related to your head is what we call form. How solid the face is, how round it is, how pointed the nose is, how bold your lips is what we call form. So if you want to draw somebody for the drawing to look exactly like the person, you should pay attention to the form, because everybody has his own features. Some have very pointed nose, especially the whites. So if you are drawing a white person, or if you are drawing from a picture and the person has a pointed nose, and at the end of the day you draw and the nose looks flat, it means at the end of the day the resemblance is going to be affected. Do you get me? At the end of the day, the resemblance is going to be affected. So the form is very, very important. Once you're able to get the form right, automatically it means you're going to get the resemblance right. If you don't get the form right, you will never get the resemblance right. Just as the form you were able to tell that this is a bottle. The same thing, if you do it right, one will be able to tell that this face looks like Kofi, or this face looks like Amma, or this face looks like a white person, or this face looks like a black person. All can be determined by the form. So if you don't pay attention to the form, you're always not going to get the resemblance right. Right? You may pay attention to the texture or the detail. At the end of the day, you realize the skin will look more like wood if the form is not right, because mind you, form is affected by light. So let's go back to our question again. How do we portray form, or how is form achieved on a 2D paper? One, the most important thing that brings about form is light. Lighting is very important when it comes to portraiture, in photography, in painting, in sculpture. Lighting is very, very, very important. How many of you understand what lighting is? Lighting is very, very important. So let me do another practical thing for you to see again. This thing is a hard disk. Yes, this is a hard disk. No, let me get something that has very matte surface. Okay, this is another bottle. Okay, let's use this one. This is another bottle. I'm going to switch off the light on this phone and show you a practical thing. Okay, so you see, looking at this, you realize there is a light source. When there was let's assume there isn't any light. Let me reduce my light here, or let me put it off. Okay, let's assume there isn't no light. Okay, so it's very obvious here. If you look at this bottle, you realize there's a light source coming from this side. There's a light source coming from this side. So you realize the light is hitting this side. This side will be the shadow area. So where in the case there isn't any light, there is no light, this thing is going to look flat to the eye. So the lighting makes it very solid, makes it look solid. All right, let me show you another thing. So you see, everything that you are drawing, or everything that comes into drawing, starts with an outline. So it's up to you for you to build that outline or fill the outline with pencil for it to look solid. And one thing you are looking at is the lighting. All right, when we talk about lighting, we always have to talk about lighting. Well, how do we put it? When there's an object and there is light, that light falls on it, there's always the highlight area. There's always the highlight area. There is the mid-tone area. There is the shadow area, and then the casted shadow. Do you get me? Let me show you one thing. Do you see this picture? Hello, do you see this picture? All right. So if you look at the picture now, the picture I've put on the screen, you realize this is the circle, just an outline, right? But if you look at the one next to the circle, you realize there is a sphere. Do you see the picture? You realize there's a sphere here, and there is a cast shadow. So you can notice that everything on a 2D or on a paper starts with an outline, and there is a light source. The light source is the white area. Your shadow area is the darker area, and then your shadow cast, that's the cast one on the floor, is your shadow. So if you're able to bring these three elements in your outline drawing, you are going to create a form. Do you get me? You may have just an outline. If you're able to bring these three elements: one, your light area or your light source; two, your shadow; and three, your casted shadow, the shadow that is being cast on the ground, you are going to achieve form. So this is how you achieve form. Achieving form has just three basic elements: one, your highlight area, your shadow, and then your casted shadow. So you see, when it comes to portraiture, let's look at the square tool. You realize square is the 4 angle, it's just the 2D. But if you're able to add the shadow area to it, and then your shadow casted on the floor, and on the mid shadow, you achieve your form. Do you get me? The same thing with your triangle. Once you're able to, you add your cone. That's how you can get your cylinder, you can get a cone, pyramid, and all. So form is very important. So put it in mind. The three basic elements of form, or how to achieve form, is your area, your highlight area, where your light is hitting. So looking at the sphere, you realize the light source is coming from the left. So the light source is always opposite to the shadow area, and then the shadow is casted on the ground, on the floor. So this is what I'm trying to depict here. When it comes to portraiture, it's the same thing. After getting your form right, after getting your outline, it's time to bring out the forms. Do you get me? There are many elements when it comes to portraiture. We have the eye, we have the nose, we have the mouth, we have the teeth, we have the eyebrow, we have hair, and even the clothing. Okay, so if you are using a picture as a reference, an image as a reference picture, or let's say a picture as a reference, you always realize that there is a light source. So if you are drawing, your first thing to look at for is the light source. Where is the light coming from? Mind you, there are many different types of lighting. We have the butterfly lighting. When you say the butterfly lighting, look at me in the video. I'm correcting the light. You realize that the light source is coming from above like this. That's the reason you have highlight on my forehead, highlight on my nose here, highlight on the upper part of my lip, highlight on this side of my cheek. You see, so just like what we're talking about, this is the highlight because it's facing directly to the light source. Where is my shadow cast? If you want to see where the shadow is cast, look beneath my nose. You see there's a shadow cast here. Do you see it? At the corner of my eye here. You ready? Because the light source is coming from here, this side is shadow. So I told you, the shadow area is always opposite to your light source. Look beneath my eye. You realize this side of the eye has shadow. Why? Because there's a highlight here. So the highlight is always opposite to your shadow. So when it comes to drawing some pictures are very flat. For you to be able to enhance the picture, you have to pay attention to your highlight. If you understand what your lighting is, and if you understand the lighting in the picture, you can create your shadows yourself to enhance the picture. Do you get me? So lighting is very important. So there are some cases you may have a picture which is not very well lighted, or you can have a picture which is flat in that sense. But if you understand what your lighting is, you'll be able to enhance your picture by creating your shadows, because you know that the lighthouse is coming from this side. Let me bring the light source from this side, from that side angle like this. So looking at my face in the video, you will realize the light source is coming from this side, so it is hitting this side. And where is the shadow area? This side is my shadow area. Where is the cast shadow? The cast shadow is what you see on the wall. Do you understand it? Please, if you understand what I'm trying to say, just say yes and then let me know. I want to really teach for you to understand. So if you understand it, please let me know. We are talking about how to bring form in a drawing or in just an outline. Do you get me? So this is the side lighting. This is the side lighting. So if you look at if you look at me in the video, I just brought my light source to the left. So this is the light. This is where the light is coming from. And as discussed earlier, I said that your light source is always opposite to your shadow area. There are three main elements when it comes to lighting, which brings about form in a 2D or in a drawing. One is your lighting. When it comes to lighting, your light source. Two is your mid-tone or your mid-area. Three is your shadow area. And then the last one is the casted shadow. Okay, if you are able to bring these 4 elements effectively in your drawing, your form is going to be on point. Then after getting your form right, you can concentrate on doing your details this time. Right? So I first showed you a lighting from the upper side. We call it the butterfly lighting. The light source is always coming from above. So when it comes to butterfly lighting, you realize that there's shadow beneath the nose. Why? Because the light source is coming from above. Something like this is the butterfly lighting. Do you get me? This is the light source. You realize my forehead is very strong in light. But where is the shadow cast? My shadow cast is beneath my nose. Why? Because I told you that your highlight is always opposite to your shadow area. The same thing is happening to my this side, the corner of my eye, this side. Right? So let's change the lighting. Let's make it more practical. So you see, I've changed the lighting. Now the light is coming from this side. So you realize that this side of my face is lit. But where is my shadow area? This is my shadow area. Because it's directly opposite to the light source. Where is the shadow cast? Look behind the wall. You realize that there's a shadow cast here. Okay. So when it comes to this, just my image in the video, you realize we've been able to achieve form in just the picture. So without the light, which is lighting, I would have looked very, very flat in the video. So where there is no light, there is no form. Do you understand me, please? All right. So let's look at the shadow cast here. You realize this is my nose. So the shadow is cast here. So when it comes to portraiture, we have the different parts of the face, or the different elements of the face that makes up a portrait picture. And all these stands as individuals. This is a different element that is on the nose, the mouth, the eye, the eyebrow, my beard, and everything on my face sums up a portrait. All come together to form my picture or my portraiture. And I told you, for my nose to look solid, there should be a light source, there should be a mid area, and then a shadow. For my mouth to look solid, you realize my mouth protrudes a little. You realize the light source is coming from this side. This side of my mouth is the shadow area. Beneath my lip here, and this side is the shadow area. This side is the light area. And we have the very strong highlight this side. Okay, because it's that side of the light that protrudes. Do you get me, please? All right. So understanding lighting is very, very important. I usually see a lot of people send me their images or their drawings for me to criticize. When you send me your picture, the first thing, or your drawing, the first thing I look out for is your light source and your shadow areas. A lot of people will draw, but you realize this side or one part of the face here is almost the same intensity of light compared to the where the light source is. It will always look dark. It will always look dark. So let me just have a shape here. Okay, I'm creating something for you to see. Do you see? All right. Okay, I just did this. Your face looks like a ball or a circle. Your face looks like a circle, just like how this circle is affected by your light sheet. It's the same thing. So you realize that the shadow area takes almost half. You realize the shadow area takes almost half of the circle. Can you see? So this side, because it's a circle, it's a sphere, beneath doesn't get a lot of light, so that side will look more darker. And this is my shadow. So this can be likened to your face. This is likened to your face, this area. You divide it into two. But whenever you are drawing, you should pay attention to the light source. If the light is coming from this side, mind you, whatever is here at this side, whether this eye, whether there's a cheek or the lip that forms at this side, whatever is here will never be as dark as whatever falls in this section. Do you get me? Do you get me? Please type yes if you get me. Please type yes if you get me. So let's assume this is the face. I'm trying to show you how to achieve proper form in your drawings so that your drawings don't look flat. Okay, let's assume this is your head and the light source is coming from this side, right? I told you that your shadow area is always opposite to your light source, and then your cast shadow is here. So let's assume this circle, this shade that I just did, is your head. So this is the eye, another eye, your nose, and your mouth. All right. Whatever falls within this section can never be as dark compared to whatever is here. Do you get me? So if you draw and you realize that there's a portion of the face here is lighter than any portion of the face here, that means your lighting is not correct and your form is wrong. Do you get me? Do you get me? So look at my face in the picture or in the video. Look at my face in the video. This is the light source. Look at both my cheeks. This is one part of my cheek. This is another part of my cheek. You realize that this side of my cheek, closer to the light source, is very strong compared to that of the side in the shadow area. Do you get me? So this face is divided into two. This is my light source. This is a cheek. This side is also a cheek. So you realize that this cheek, there's a highlight here, but it's not as strong as the one from the facing directly to the light source. Why? Because this side of the cheek or this part of the face is in the shadow area, and this side is from the light source. This is the light area. So it's never possible that any part of the face in the shadow area will be as light or as bright as any part of the face facing your light source. So that is one thing to look out for. Once you start drawing, first notice where your light source is coming from. If you're able to notice where your light source is coming from, then you know that your shadow area will always be opposite to your light source. So no matter what you draw, no matter highlight that comes within your shadow area, will never be as bright as the one in the light area. Achieving this or paying attention to just this will always bring form in your drawing. It will always make your drawing look very solid. This is very, very practical. You should have this behind at the back of your mind. You know, sometimes if you understand what you're doing, whatever you're doing becomes easier for you, because once you have your picture, you're looking for these things. Once you have a picture to draw, first look out for where your light source is coming from. I've shown you this is a side lighting. Why? Because the light source is coming from this side of my face. How do we know that this is a side lighting? The shadow is being cast here on the side. So it is a side lighting. Do you understand it, please? If you have a picture to draw, first thing to look out for your light source. Once you get the light source, establish your shadow area. So whatever you draw or you shade within the shadow area, whatever highlight you have within the shadow area will never be as bright as one in your light area. If you're able to distinguish between your light source and your shadow area, your drawing is going to have form in it. Understood, please? Alright, so let's assume that our light source is coming from below. Let me tune my light very well for you to see. I had to buy this light for you to learn. So you see, I've changed the light source again. What do you see in my face? I always told you that your shadow area is always opposite to your light source. So you realize that this particular lighting, looking at my picture or my face in the video, this light is coming from below. It's coming from below this side. So where do you see my lighting? My highlight is from this side. Opposite, I told you, the face is divided into two, just like the circle. So whatever here is your shadow area. So you realize that even the highlight here on my forehead can never be as bright as the highlight even on my chin here or on my cheek. Why? Because this side is in the shadow area. This below the face is in the light area. Do you get me? If you get me, just say yes. Is this information being helpful to you? Let me know. Let me know if this information is being helpful to you. Let me know if this information is being helpful to you. And where is the cast shadow? You realize the cast shadow is behind me on the wall. This is the cast shadow on the wall. Do you see it? Yes. So if you're able to get these 4 elements on point in your drawing on a 2 surface paper, you're going to have a 3D like image on a 2D paper. Understood? Yes, that's the cast shadow. So let's assume you are drawing me. The moment you're able to get the lighting right, that the lighting is from this side, so everything here will be lighter compared to the upper part of the head. And if you're able to cast your shadow behind me, you are going to get a 3D image, even though on a paper. Do you understand, please? Yes. So we are talking about form here. So before, as I was talking earlier, so let's see. This is another lighting. But if you look at my face, you realize the lighting is not very strong. Okay. So mind you, I was saying to get form in a drawing or in a picture, there should always be light. Light plays the major role. And when there is light, there's always the light source, where the light is coming from. The light source is always opposite to the shadow area. So if the light source is coming from this side of my face, the shadow area is going to be at this side, and this side will be the mid-tone, right? And the part of the face that is very close to the light source, or that stands protruding, or that stands further from the face, is always going to have the strong highlight. And this side is usually on the nose here. If you look at the face, you realize that this bridge on my nose here always recedes inside. Okay, so a lot of light doesn't reach there compared to the one on the nose. That is the reason why there's always a highlight on the nose, and then somehow there's always a highlight at this side. Because there's a highlight here, there's a shadow that is being cast here, but this shadow is not very strong because this side in the middle of the face falls within the mid area or the mid tone. Do you understand it, please? All right. So as I was saying that I was talking about light, that no matter the light area that is here cannot be compared to the light area here. It's the same thing with shadows. Do you get me? It's the same thing with shadows. So you realize that the light source is from this side. Let me take it back a little. There's a shadow cast here, but you should realize that this side of my cheek, there's another shadow here. Do you see it, please? Please be interactive and then let's go on. There's one shadow here and there's another shadow here, but this shadow is very, very strong compared to this shadow. Why? Because this shadow falls within the light area. So no matter how hard or harsh the shadow in my lighter area, it cannot be compared to the shadow in my shadow area. Do you understand it, please? So compare this side of my eye, the corner of my eye here, to the corner of my eye here. You realize because this side moves into the skull, there is a shadow here, but it's not compared, cannot be compared to the shadow at this side. You realize this shadow here looks very darker compared to the shadow here. So in this sense, we are talking about two main things: your shadow area and then your light area. And the most important thing is where your light is coming from, your light source. If your light source is coming from this side, no matter how light any area on the shadow area will be, it can never be compared to that of this side. The highlights on the light in the light area will always be stronger than the highlight in the shadow area. It's the same thing with the shadows. No matter how dark or how shadow there is in the lighter area, it can never be compared to the shadow in the shadow area. The shadow in the shadow area, or the dark part in the shadow area, will always be darker compared to that in the light area. If you're able to get this scenario right, and if you're able to have this at the back of your mind, you are always going to have your drawings on point. One, you're going to have form in your drawing. You're going to achieve solidity in your drawing. If you miss the proper arrangement of these, your drawing will look absurd. It will either look flat or it will look distorted. I'm coming. Yes, the light can affect the eye. Yes. Right. So the light is the most important thing. But there's another thing to pay attention to when it comes to lighting. You realize that the distance the distance of the eye plays a major role here. No, the distance of the light source plays a very major role. If the light source is closer to the face, right now the light source is very close to the face, the shadow becomes very dark. Do you understand this? So right now we are discussing lighting, because we've realized that your light plays a major role when it comes to getting the form right. So let's talk about the different kinds of lighting. How to layer your work, have all the 4 main light sources. We will get there. So let's look at the type of lighting. If you look at this, my face here, look at my face in the video. You realize the light is very close to my face. My face is being lit from one side of my eye. What do you see? You realize that there is contrast. The contrast has been increased. The light source is very harsh, but the shadow areas is very, very defined too. You see it? Do you see what I'm talking about? Look at my face in the video. Now the light is very close to my face. So this is what I was talking about. This side of my face is the light area, and this is in the shadow area. But this particular light is very close to the face. Yes. You realize that because the light is too harsh or too strong, my shadow area too becomes very dark. It's the same thing that happens to when you stand in the sun when it's 12 o'clock. Or let's say when it's 2 o'clock and you stand in the sun. You realize that your shadow that is cast is very dark and defined. If I say defined, it is very sharp. Because at that time, or at the time of the day, the sun is very close to you as an individual. So the shadow becomes sharp and then strong compared to when the light is far away. So look at the shadow my nose is casting. You see, this is my nose. Right now, we are using only one light source. So please, let's pay attention to the one light source for you to get the concept right. After discussing, after you getting the concept, we will go on to the multiple light source, which is quite complex. Okay, so look at the shadow that is cast on my face. You realize the nose shadow here is sharp. Do you see? Why is it sharp? It is sharp because the light source is very close to my face. You realize that there is another shadow here. You realize that side too is also sharp. It is sharp because that side is closer, because the light source is very close to the face. But let me go a little far. Then take the light a little far. What do you see? You realize the light is a little dispersed here, and the shadow, it doesn't look sharp. Do you understand? There is one thing to pay attention to: the intensity of the light. And the intensity of the light can be determined by how close or how far the light source is. It plays a major key here when you are drawing. So if you are drawing and you realize that from the reference picture the light on the face is very harsh, you can do these things. One, exactly, the shadow looks blurred. If the light source is far, please don't make the shadow sharp. If you make the shadow sharp, your drawing will be distorted, or you will never get the form right. Do you understand it, please? So, Friends Ogbona, yes. I think if you were here earlier, you would have understood. I think give me a second. The phone has low battery, so give me a second. I'll be back. Just give me a second. Let me plug it into the charger. A second, please. Let me plug it inside. Wow. Give me a second, okay? I need to plug it, otherwise the phone will go off. I'm coming. All right, I'm back, guys. Yeah. So Ogbonna has asked a question. He says, "What of when the light source is coming directly to you?" So I was saying, if you were here earlier, you'd have understood. Please, after the video, after this live session, I will post this on my YouTube channel. Then you can go back again. But what I was saying is, the light source is always opposite to your shadow area. All right. So if the light is facing you directly like this, let me change the light source. You see, I deliberately brought this light to help me teach. Can you see my face? Please be interactive, and so that we go on. Please be very interactive. Can you see my face? Yes. Just like Ogbonna, you asked the question, can you see my face? Please be very interactive. All right. Anyway, if he's not here, that's fine. So let's look at the light source this way. Just look at my face. See, the light is facing directly into my face. This is my very strong highlight area. Why? Because it's a part of the face that is very close to the light. So the highlight becomes very, very strong compared to the highlights here. One, distance is key when it comes to lighting. So there is no way when there is no way that a highlight here will be stronger than the one on my nose. Do you get me, please? It says my internet. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, please? Can you hear me, please? Okay, that's fine. That's fine. So he was asking, what if the light source is directly from your face? So if you look at the light now on my face, you realize because it's directly facing to me, where is the shadow area? The shadow area is behind me like this. Why? Because this is the light source, and the shadow is always opposite to the light source. This side of my nose is closest to the light source, so we have the highlight stronger on my nose, but it's not as strong as here because it's not as close to the light source compared to my nose. look at my forehead. It's very strong here. And where is the shadow? This is the light source. The shadow comes here. But you see, when the light source is right on the face, where do you think the mid area will be? So you realize that the mid area is at this side. Why? Because that side is for you to achieve that roundity of the head. This side goes inside, so it doesn't receive so much light compared to this side. So if you draw and you make this side as light as this side, your drawing will look flat. Do you understand me? And this is another mid-tone, but it's not as light as this side. Why? Because this side is right next. This side is right next to the light source, and this side is the shadow area. Do you get me? So if you draw and you make this side as light as this side, your drawing will look flat. Or if you make this side as shadow as this side, the drawing will also look flat or distorted. So it is very important to pay attention to your light, where your light is coming from. Establish your light source, establish your shadow area. Establish your light source and establish your light on your shadow area. Okay, so right now we have established, or we've understood that anything that is affected by light has a light source, it has a mid-tone, and it has a shadow. Your understanding of this will help you to do your details right on the face. So you see, the nose stands as a feature on the face. Because there is a nose, the highlight is coming from this side. This is my mid area, and it's casting a shadow here. Okay, so once you understand where your light source is coming from in the whole face, you then zoom in down to the individual features in the face. Okay, so right now I understand that this is the head. This side is within my shadow area. This side is within my shadow area. This side is within my light area. So I know that whatever falls within this side of my face will never be as strong or as dark as whatever falls here. The light that's come here will never be as strong as the one that is here. So after getting the overall lighting of the face of the picture you are drawing, you need to pay attention to the individual features. Because the eye stands as a feature on its own. The nose stands as a feature on its own. The lips do the same thing. If you were to draw the teeth will also stand as a feature on its own. So you now zoom in to the individual features on the face. So let's look at the nose. You realize that because the light source is coming from this side, the nose has cast a shadow here. So if you draw and the light source is coming from this side and the nose doesn't cast a shadow, your drawing will look flat. If you draw and the light from the picture, the light source is coming from this side, but there is not any dark shadow here, the drawing will look flat. Do you understand, please? If you understand, please let me know. So if you let's go to the eye too. If you draw and then this side, you realize that this side of the eye is in the shadow area. So right now we are treating the individual features as objects on their own. You see that the light has a highlight here. So once the highlight is hitting this side becomes the shadow area. So if you are drawing and then the light source is here and then this side is also light, it means your eye is going to look flat, and at the end of the day your drawing is going to look flat or distorted. Do you get me, please? All right, so now I think we've spent an hour now. So right now, you agree with me that you understand what lighting is. And lighting is the main key thing when it comes to achieving form in your drawings or form in your outline drawing. Because when you are drawing portraiture, you need to do your outline and then you shade to bring out the form. But in shading, you need to pay attention to where your light source is coming from. And mind you, the light source will always cast a shadow. So your shadow area will always be opposite to your light source. So you divide the head into two. If your light source is coming from this side, so whatever highlight that is here will never be as strong as the highlight that is here or that is facing the light source. If you're able to achieve this, you will always achieve the form right. Your drawing is going to look solid. So even if the picture doesn't look that way, with this knowledge, you'll be able to achieve that form in just the pencil outline. Do you get me, please? All right. So after getting the general lighting of your image or your drawing, you zoom in, then you pay attention to the individual features on the face. Right, you pay attention to the individual features on the face. So that's when you come to look at the nose. This side of the nose is the highlight area. So where is the shadow? The shadow is being cast here. So if you're able to achieve this, your nose is going to look solid. Look at this side. You realize there's another shadow cast here because the light source is hitting this side. This shadow is stronger than the shadow here. Why? This side of the nose falls within the lighter area. So no matter what, the shadow here can never be as strong as the shadow here. So you see, just having knowledge of lighting will help you achieve the solidity in the nose. Do you understand it, please? If you can't, just please be interactive so that at least I know. Look at my beard. You realize that the ones here are just little highlights, but the main light is coming from here. So this is my shadow area. The same thing applies to the eye. The light is hitting this side, so this side becomes the shadow area. Look at this particular eye. Where's the light source? The light source is hitting this side, so you realize that there's a shadow cast here. So if you are drawing the eye, or if you are drawing an image, and the light source is coming from this side, that should tell you that the light source is also hitting the eye on this side. So there should be a shadow cast here. So look at these both eyes. This is one eye, this is another eye. The light source is from this side, so the shadow is cast here. The light source is coming from this side, so where's the shadow? The shadow is cast here. Look at the cornea. The cornea is the white part of the eye. Look on this eye. You realize that this side of the cornea, or the yellow part of my eye, is lighter compared to this side. Do you get me, please? Please be interactive. Please, if you get me, let me know so that we go on. Please, if you can get me, please just say yes, at least just to motivate me. Do you understand, please? And if you look at this particular eye, you realize that just look at the cornea, the white part or the yellow part. You realize because the light source is from this side is lighter compared to this side. So you see, the lighting affects anything on the face. The lighting affects everything on the face. Every feature on the face, the light affects it. So paying attention to the eye is very, very important. The light affects anything on the face. So if you're able to achieve this, then you can even pay attention to your details or the details on the face. Do you get me? So if you look at the small pimples on my cheek here, you realize even the smallest pimple has a highlight, it has a shadow, and a shadow cast. Do you get it? Do you understand? So you see, the lighting affects anything on the face. It even affects the pimples or the details on the face. Look at the thing here. You realize that because the highlight is falling here, the shadow is cast at the opposite side. Look at the details or the dot on my nose. You realize that every dot has a highlight and every dot has a shadow as well. And the highlight of the dot always falls within the part of from where the light source is coming from, and the shadow area falls within the part where the shadow is. So if you don't understand how light works in the face, you realize that you try to do details in the face, and the face will look like wood, because even the smallest details on the face doesn't conform to the general lighting of the subject. Do you understand me, please? All right. So if you understand, if there's anything you don't understand, please let me know, and then we will end this session very soon. At least you understand what form is. You understand that form brings about identity. So the form on my face will help you to identify that this is me, KWAKWA, or this is a queer, or this is a horse, or this is a phone or a bottle. It is dependent on the form. So even if my eyes is closed and I hold this bottle, I can tell that this is a bottle, not a phone. So the form is very important. But how do we achieve form on a 2D paper when it comes to portraiture? That's when you pay attention to the lighting. That's when lighting comes in. And I've told you, if you are using a picture as a reference, you should always know that whatever you see in reality is what you are putting on paper. And there are certain things you need to understand. With this knowledge and understanding, you will avoid certain mistakes, and your drawings will always look solid with form. I'm recapping what we've learned. Okay. And I've told you that the light source is very, very important when it comes to portraiture. Know your light source. Wherever your light source is coming from, the shadow is on the opposite side of the light source. And whatever falls within the side of the light source, this is the face. You divide it into two. This is your mid area. This is in your shadow. This is within your shadow, and this is within your light source. This side where it faces the light. So anything, even the light here in my shadow area can never be as bright as the light in my light area. So if you draw and you realize that there's a highlight in the shadow area is as bright as the highlight in your light area, that means your lighting is wrong and your drawing will look flat. Okay, and if you draw and the shadow in your light area is as strong or very strong as the shadow in your shadow area, it also means that your lighting is wrong. So no matter how dark your shadow is within this side of the face or the lighter area, it should never be as dark compared to the ones in your shadow area. Okay, and understanding this, you can zoom into the individual features on the face. Right now, you understand, you have the whole concept of the head or the face. You should pay attention to the individual features. So you look at the nose. The nose stands on its own. Before this nose can look solid and truly protruding from the face, you should be able to cast your shadow. This is your shadow. This is the shadow area of the nose. This is the shadow cast. This is the light area. This is your highlight. If you don't get this thing right, your nose will look hanging. You realize that you've drawn. The nose is supposed to be fixed on the face, but it will look hanging because you didn't pay attention to your light tone and your shadow area. The same thing applies to the eye. So you realize that anything on the face is affected by the lighting. even the smallest pores on the face, the smallest dot on the face. Look at this particular dot here. You realize that it has a highlight and there's a shadow cast here. If you don't pay attention to this highlight and in your shadows, your drawings will always look flat. That is the reason why you find people trying to do details on the face, and at the end of the day, the skin looks like wood. Why? Because all the light is dispersed everywhere. From left, right, it's been dispersed from left, right, here and there on the small spots. So they tend to look like wood or like some greens, instead of it to actually look like a pimple or a pore. So everything on the face is affected by your light. If you get this thing right, your drawings will always look solid. Even if you don't do your details, at least you realize that your drawing will look solid, not flat. Even look at my mouth here. This side of my mouth is lit because this side is closer to the light source. Look at this area. This is where the shadow area is. So you realize, even from the video you are watching, my mouth looks solid. Do you understand me, please? Alright. So you end our session here. If you don't if there is anything you don't understand, please let me know. Please write in the comment section if you don't understand anything. Alright. I assume you understand everything we've discussed. I assume you've understood everything we've discussed. For our next session will be how light affects different kind of surfaces. Okay, how light affects different kinds of surfaces. So look at my pupil. You realize that the light there's a strong circle on my pupil. It's called a touch light. So why is there a touch light on my pupil? Because my pupil here is different. The material that was used in making the pupil is different from that of my skin. To realize the light is receptive differently on my pupil and then on the skin. If there was sweat on my face, you realize that the light is affecting it differently compared to my skin. If you're not able to do this or differentiate between the water and then the skin, you will never be able to achieve that water on the skin. I don't know if you get me. If you're not able to light the water right from lighting the lighting should be different. The lighting of the water should be different from the lighting on the skin, because the skin texture is different and the water texture too is different. The beard or hair is also receptive to light in a different way. This cloth compared to this one, it's also different. You realize there's a strong highlight here. Why is there so strong highlight here compared to that in my shirt? So in our next session, we'll be discussing the effects of light on the different kinds of material and how you can make use of these in your portrait drawing. I'll bring some works I've done. I'll put some works I've done on the screen for you for them to explain more or throw more light on what I'll be trying to say, because it's a practical thing. Sometimes explaining it becomes a little difficult, especially on online. So we will end our this session here. Mind you, my name is KWAKWA Junior. If you have been blessed by this session, please do well by sharing this on your page. Share it on your Facebook, share it in your WhatsApp groups, and then subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't, okay? At least that is to encourage me. I'm trying to go all in now, all out. I had to pay money to buy the light to be able to explain certain things to you, because when it comes to portraiture, lighting is key here. I had to buy a bigger memory to do this. So all that you can do is to share and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Share the YouTube channel in your various pages, and I'll be very, very grateful. And then one thing again, if you are interested, I want to create a WhatsApp group. If you are interested in the WhatsApp group, please type your number below the video in the comment section. Please type your number. I will add you to the WhatsApp group. Again, I will copy the link of the WhatsApp group and then share. So if anybody who is interested can just join the group. My name is KWAKWA Jr. I am an artist and I'm a great man. Thanks very much for seeing me here. Thank you.